Let me start, Pepe, with one of the you have two new articles. One of them, the
Yes.
first one is arguing that Iran is dismantling the entire American military ecosystem. And what is the point that you're making in this article?
The point is what's driving CENTCOM and the people in Washington completely nuts. According to the latest meeting with Trump in the room, with the generals, with those idiots around, Hegseth, Rubio, etc. And Trump lost his marbles completely. He went totally berserk because the generals basically were trying to say to him, look, all our options are from bad to worse to total disaster. And we are being decimated. And our bases are no longer there or on the way to extinction. And this is the key point of this column. And of course, I used an old rock and roll metaphor, quoting Pinball Wizard by The Who. And so now it's upside down. In the song, which is an absolutely marvelous song, it's about a young kid who is a pinball wizard. And he's a deaf, dumb, and blind kid. So now we have a pinball wizard in reverse, because we have, let's say, a Persian kid who's turning the bully deaf, dumb, and blind by playing his pinball wizard. So the object of the pinballs is a CENTCOM and the whole infrastructure ecosystem of security and aggressiveness of the US in the Persian Gulf and in other parts as well. That includes Erbil in Iraq, and as we have been seeing, Jordan, which is being bombed. The two bases in Jordan at least are being bombed literally every day after day. So this is, it's not even 2-1. Remember the 2-1 Iranian military strategy. If you attack us, we're going to attack, our attack is going to be double. Now it's even more. And now they are not even waiting for American attacks. They're taking the initiative. So this has changed the military playbook completely. Iran is going on the offensive. It's as if they are seeing that there is a window now to inflict maximum humiliation to the Americans, because they know that this window is not going to last very, very long. Sooner or later, because Trump is constrained by the timelines, and because the Iranians, once again, are running the clock, something that we have discussed over and over again, and you discuss with your other guests as well. And the clock basically, I wouldn't say stop, but the 5 seconds to midnight in terms of this particular clock is mid-August, which is essentially a little over 2 weeks from now. It's the date when the depletion of the strategic petroleum reserves of the US reaches a real out of control red light, and the instant impact on the American economy and on the global economy is going to be absolutely massive, because there won't be any more American oil dumped on the market to contain prices. And if we look at what's happening nowadays in the oil market, there are several interconnected points, which is exports from Kazakhstan, basically half of what they usually export. Kazakhstan is a big oil exporter, and American majors are invested in export of oil in Kazakhstan. We have the partial closure of the Bab el-Mandeb. Of course, the Bab el-Mandeb is not closed, but it's closed to Saudi Arabian oil exports. So they have to go through insurance hell, considering that Lloyd's is not insuring anybody leaving from Yanbu port, for instance, or other Saudi ports, via the Red Sea. So they have to pay extra insurance to go via the Suez Canal. They have to pay, the trip is practically doubles. The costs are, go to the roof, because you have to circumnavigate Africa to get to Asia. And of course, practically nothing is moving in the Strait of Hormuz. What is moving is selected tankers going to China, and there was an exception in this past 24 hours, that was quite, it's predictable in a sense, but it's a one-off case. It's an LNG tanker going from Qatar to Pakistan. And guess what happened? The Pakistanis and the Qataris lobbied the Iranians, please, at least this tanker. So this doesn't mean that the Iranians are going to free these tankers going to anywhere in Asia to keep, even if they go through the Iranian territorial waters. So practically nothing is flowing out of the Strait of Hormuz. So if you add this all up, Anima, there's absolutely no logical explanation for the price of oil to go down or to still being contained, or both, which is the case now. It's completely artificial. And obviously the Americans are doing it. In roughly 20 days from now, they won't be able to do this anymore. So that's when the real economic crisis, financial, economic, geoeconomic crisis affecting everyone is going to kick in. So in parallel to all that, we have this decimation of the American infrastructure all across the Persian Gulf, in the GCC nations, in Erbil, in Iraq, and there was even a missile that went to Egypt as well. So this means what? The axis of resistance is firing on all cylinders everywhere and virtually non-stop. So it's no wonder that this last meeting in Washington was an absolute disaster, because, and on top of it, they don't have even a plan. It's not even a plan B we're talking about. They don't even know what this war is all about. And okay, what are we doing this? If you ask Trump, the Secretary of Forever Wars, Marco Rubio, any other idiot, each one has his own theory, which proves once again that so-called top of the line Trump inner circle, basically, the bare bones of this administration, they have no idea what they're doing, period. And now it's crystal clear. So no, when you get both vectors, the imminent oil crisis, economic crisis, bond market crisis, you name it, everything, pile of derivatives collapsing, etc. And you have the fact that the United States is being rendered literally deaf, dumb, and blind all across West Asia. It's no wonder, no? Which, once again, we continue to be in a very slippery slope, because considering that the President of the United States is basically a deranged narcissist, megalomaniac, all bets are off on what he could do next or order next. He may order something completely absurd that his own generals will refuse to execute. That's also quite possible. And all his threats, which apparently they stopped for the past 24 hours or less than 48 hours, that bomb the hell out of Iran, launched the gates of hell, his own expression and all that. It didn't vanish. It's still there as an option. Very, very dangerous. A very, very dangerous moment. But just to go a little beyond of what we're talking about now, which is it's one of the key aspects that fascinates me completely, which is the role of Yemen now. The new role of Yemen in this whole drama. And the conversation that I had with one of my good Yemeni friends when he explained to me why Yemen now is entering the chat, literally, with this blockade against a blockade, but a blockade only against Saudi Arabia. And the larger part of his answer was that Yemeni intelligence, of course, in conjunction with Iranian intelligence and also, of course, with Iraqi intelligence, they understood that the Americans were ready to launch a sort of gates of hell operation, but not only against Iran, but against the whole axis of resistance. So the Yemenis, their own decision taken in Sana'a, with, of course, the political council, they discussed this with their own parliament, and of course, under the supervision of Abdul Malik al-Houthi. Okay, so now we start our blockade of Bab el-Mandeb, but selectively. And we're causing an extra headache to the Americans and to the Saudis at the same time. So I'm sure you and our audience, you have seen that a American-Saudi response involved not only bombing Yemen, but also bombing Iraq, bombing the Hashd al-Shabi, the Popular Mobilization Forces in Iraq. Big, big mistake. First of all, because it proves to all of them that their interpretation was right. The Americans wanted to attack us in the first place. Big operation, gates of hell, small operation, whatever, but they wanted to attack us anyway. So, okay, so now we counterattack. So expect hardcore being launched by the Yemenis and by the PMUs, the Popular Mobilization Forces in Iraq at the same time. So now they are already in the war. The only one that has not entered yet is Hezbollah, because Hezbollah, of course, they carefully calculate the moment when they want to go really hardcore. But this could happen sooner rather than later. Once again, Anima, immensely dangerous because the war is expanding instead of being contained.